Welcome to the Law School Insider, where we have conversations with students, lawyers, and employers.
Succeeding in law school is something that you must prepare for, not only before you begin, but throughout your law school journey, and that's what this podcast is all about. I am your host, Dr. Christopher Lewis, and I will draw from my over 20 years of experience in the college admission field, as well as bring forth the experiences of others as we delve deeper into the issues. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Law School Insider. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Lewis, and I'm so excited to be able to have you back again this week. This week, I am bringing back a guest. I'm bringing back Charles Toy, who is the Associate Dean for Career and Professional Development at Western Michigan University Cooley Law School. And I'm really excited to be able to have him back again this week to be able to talk to us about the job search, the journey that each of you will be on in the future. Because as you enter law school, you are going to be going on a journey. You're going to be going on a journey not only to learn the law, to prepare you for taking the bar exam, but on top of that, you have to start from day one to prepare yourself for your career. And so many students make the mistake of waiting too long. And I wanted to bring Dean Toy back to be able to talk about this journey and things that you can do to prepare yourself well so that you can be ready for the job search, be ready to get that first job, and be ready to hit the ground running when you're out there. So Dean Toy, thanks so much for being back with us again this week.
Well, thank you for inviting me, Dr. Lewis.
You know, it is a pleasure to have you back because I know from the students that I have worked with that sometimes students wait way too long to start that job search and to start the process of preparing themselves for the job search. When you go in, and I know you go into orientations and you talk to students early on, but what do you say to students about what are some of the first steps that students should be taking when they enter law school that will help them and prepare them for the job search that they will be doing toward the end of their law career?
The overall message is to use your career services office and use it, go there early and go there often. However, I precede that message with this, and that is during your first term of law school, study, become competent in that school. It's a new school, new environment, new studies, new type of study, new peer group. Get comfortable there first, and then begin looking and thinking about your career. You should come on with some idea, but at least, tackle first things first. And now, maybe near the end of the first term, and then for every term after that, prepare for your ultimate career by looking at different avenues available for you. Law school is a great opportunity to explore different areas of law. You may not know what you want to practice, and it's better to explore those areas and maybe have volunteer experiences or have paid law clerk experiences, maybe an externship experience, maybe a fellowship in those areas of law to learn about them before you finally make a decision which way you want to go. And of course, even once you decide which way you want to go, your career path isn't likely to be a straight line, but be a zigzag all over different areas before you end up in a career that you would consider your career.
No, I think those are great points, and I think a lot of students definitely need to hear that because so many students, when they come in, like I said, they think that they need to focus just on the legal education, and they forget about the end goal as well. And there's a balance that I've found that you need to make. Now, as a student is going through this process, they're working with their career and professional development office within their law school. What are some of the steps that you have every student take that they should be working on, no matter what they want to do, where they want to work?
First is know thyself. Have an honest assessment of your skills, your strengths, what your passions are, what are your values, where do you want to work, and then investigate what you have found, especially, let's say, in the type of work you want to do. You might have an idea whether you'd rather be plaintiff or defendant, whether you'd rather meet people or perhaps only do research and not meet people, if you'd rather be in a corporate scene, or whether you'd rather be in a rural scene versus a metropolitan area. All those are different things to look at. And once you have kind of got an idea, then explore those areas. There are resources available that will help you understand what an entertainment lawyer does, what an environmental lawyer does, what a tax attorney does. And then look at those areas. And after you've done this know thyself and then career exploration, then begin gaining information about that area through networking, through perhaps joining a section of a state bar association, so you can start interacting with attorneys in that area, meeting attorneys in that particular subject matter, and find out what it's about before you throw all your eggs in that basket. The one thing I often tell students is take the skills that they're learning, take the skills that every attorney needs, and you can't practice law yet because you don't have a license, but use those skills for yourself in exploring a career. So things such as read about different subject matters, what attorneys do, research everything you can, perhaps skills dealing with analysis, use that to analyze the different areas, analyze what you want to do, again, going back to who you are and what you will be passionate about doing. And why I really stress passionate is when you go to an interview, the employer will catch right away whether you're there because it's a job or if it's because you're passionate about the job that you're going to do. And most employers would rather hire someone that is passionate about doing the job that they're being asked to do than someone that's just filling a role until they find something else that they'd rather do.
And I think that translates to almost any person, whether you're going into law or not. You have to have passion for what you're doing, and you have to enjoy what you're doing, because not only will you not last in that job, but you will be looking for something else very soon afterwards. So I appreciate you sharing that. What about for the student that is getting a little bit further along? They might be in their second year or even starting up in their third year, and they're starting to truly think about, what are my next steps? What should I be doing next? What do you say to those students? And how is that different than what you just said?
Well, first let me dial back the clock a little bit. In doing your research, you're going to find the avenues into those type of jobs. And there's some jobs that you need to start looking at or looking into your first term in law school. Because, for example, judicial law clerks, many large law firms have summer internship programs. And they are interviewing the year before, usually in autumn of the year before the next summer. And so you need to be in line, ready to participate in those on-campus interviews to be selected for the next year. So they're looking for students between let's say their second and third year. You're going to be at the end of your first year of law school when you are applying for those interviews and taking those interviews and hopefully accepting the summer associate for the next summer. And hopefully from that, it gives you an avenue into that firm for the year after. So you're actually looking 2 years in advance. Judicial law clerks, especially at the federal level, they many times will know their law clerks a year in advance. So you need to start working on that. So the more advanced students, I say, number one, let's look at the avenues to get into where you want to go, and let's start using those. The avenues might be summer clerkships. It may be externing there or being an intern there, perhaps just something that gets your foot in the door, maybe even volunteering at a court. And if you impress the judge and you are doing a wonderful job and you get along with everybody, of course the judge would rather hire you than someone that is unknown to the judge. So all those that's the type of advice I would get. As you get closer to the end of law school, it's a process and it takes a while to find a job. I encourage students to wholeheartedly jump in and start seeing employers and getting their name out there and using their network to find opportunities so that they can hit the road running when they graduate and have a job.
Now, I know that part of that is to make a resume, and some students may have an idea of what a resume is because they've had a resume in the past, but a legal resume may look a little bit different. And I know we're talking, so it's not a visual thing that we're doing right now, but maybe you can give people a little bit of an idea of some of the differences that they will see in a traditional resume that they might have had in undergrad and what they might see at the end of their legal career.
A resume, at least a legal resume, first, number one, gives the employer the opportunity to see if you can even follow directions. So look at the job qualifications and look at the application procedure. And if they ask for a one-page resume, give them a one-page resume. If you give them something else, they immediately know that you can't follow directions. So follow that. But also go to your career services officer and ask them, does this firm want a one-page resume? Would they rather have a two-page resume? I always say that only put those things on your resume that are relevant for the job. So most legal jobs will not require that you used to be a paper boy or you used to work at a fast food service. They will want legal experiences, legal type jobs. Now, obviously, you don't have a law license. You're not licensed yet. You won't have those kind of experiences. But at least, hopefully, while you were in law school, you had experiences where you volunteered or were a paid law clerk to perhaps an externship where you gained experience. So anytime you have experience or gain an experience while you're in law school, take advantage of those so that you're building your resume. And then that is what will be on your resume. Now, obviously, if you're going into something like tax and you used to work at H&R Block or some other tax preparation service, you'd want to put that on. But most employers will not care about your undergraduate jobs unless there's a transferable skill there. And if there's something like that, then you'd definitely include it. But otherwise, I'd leave it off your resume. The other things that you don't need on a resume are things like your purpose statement or something of that nature. They know why you're applying. You want the job. So you don't need that, you want to be an attorney at a 25-member firm. Your resume is on the desk of an attorney that's at a 25-member firm. So don't waste resume space for something like that. Always reverse chronological order, but that's true in any resume as far as your education and also your job experiences. The other thing I always tell students and graduates is in the job description, don't put something general like helped attorney file motions. Quantify it and somehow show the quality of it. So it might be something like filed or drafted 25 motions for civil litigator, something like that. So in other words, you're quantifying it. And then if you could add something quality to it, such as all of them were granted. Now, of course, that's probably unrealistic, but something that shows the quality of the work, or the motions did not need to be revised by the supervising attorney, something of that nature, so that they get a little bit of an insight into the quality as well as the quantitative nature of what you did.
Now, the one other thing that I want to get into today and talk to you about it is not everyone that is listening to this today is in law school yet. They may be thinking about law school. Are there things that people can do prior to law school that will set them up well for not only starting law school, but also finishing law school when it comes to their career?
Yes. Number one, if you don't know an attorney, go introduce yourself to an attorney. Tell that attorney that you are interested in perhaps going to law school, and would you mind if that attorney would answer some questions for you? That might be called episodic mentoring. In other words, use that episode to be mentored by that attorney. Ask the attorney what they do in a typical day, what they would advise as far as going to law school. Perhaps they'll share what their experiences were in law school or what was most helpful to them in law school. And most people, if you don't have a relative that's an attorney, you certainly will probably know someone in some organization or group that you're within, or someone's parents that would be an attorney, and just reach out to them. The other thing is you can always simply have an excursion for yourself. Go down to a courthouse, sit around, watch, see what happens. Go up afterwards and talk to some of the attorneys. Obviously, if they're with their client and their client's emotional, you don't want to bother them. But sometimes there's opportunities where you can talk to an attorney. Again, it's just that episode, ask them about law school or ask them about the law. If you can somehow, through your undergraduate degree program, have an internship that is at a law firm or some kind of company that deals with the law in some way and can get into those areas, again, that's a great exposure and it will help you, I think, throughout law school. It will make law school more something that you connect with, that you can understand because you've already done it and you kind of have an idea of what's going on.
Those are great tips, great advice, and I wholeheartedly agree with everything you just said. Get out there, everyone. See what it's all about. Ask the questions that need to be asked. Get your questions answered and be fully informed, because you want to be fully informed as you're going through the application process, but also as you're entering law school. And then do what you can to get experience in law school, because just like Dean Toy said, you want to make sure that you have something on your resume and that it's not a blank piece of paper and that you have something to draw from. So being able to go out, get some experience is not only going to make the law more tangible for you, but it's also going to help the people that are considering you for their firms to be more impressed too. So, Dean Toy, thank you so much for being with us again this week. We will definitely have you back again in the future, and I know that everyone has definitely learned a ton from everything that you have shared.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. It's been a pleasure.
Well, that was another great guest this week on the Law School Insider. If you have an interest in being a guest on the show, drop me an email at lawschoolinsider@Cooley Cooley.edu. And thank you all for listening today, and remember, you have the ability and right to take control of your law school's success. I hope you'll continue listening, creating a plan for success that will prepare you to achieve the dreams that you have set for yourself. Talk to you next time. Thanks for listening. You're on your way to being a law school insider. Please subscribe to stay connected and come back again next time as we speak to more students, lawyers, and employers.